Okay, last post for today. Um, Today was another short day. Every Wednesday is a short day. And, but in most Wednesdays you only have 5 hours of classes. Um, but this Wednesday we had 6. Or I had 6, which kind of sucked. Yeah, started out science, um, biology, and then 2 hours of, art. It's weird. It's like, the class is called like Dessin Recherche Projet, something like that. And but I've learned not to really follow what the schedule says the class is gonna be, because half the time when it says it's gonna be that class, my teacher, goes with technology, and and he switches it around a lot, so which is totally cool. Like, it's all art. It's all in the same room. So, we had 2 hours of that, and we started out, because another thing that happened on Tuesday that I didn't talk about was that we took our pieces of wood that I had to buy, and we also had to get pieces of cloth, and we had some cloth, and so I just cut a piece out of that cloth, and we glued the cloth to the wood, basically. So that we'd have a smoother surface to paint on, and all the wood that wasn't covered on the back we painted with glue so that humidity wouldn't ruin it. And that's what we did in art. And then, so today, we put on white gesso so we can paint on top of it. And that's what we did, but we had 2 hours of it, because it's like, I understand Harry Potter now, because they talk about, like, oh, and we have double potions with the Slytherin, and I'm sitting here going, double potions? Okay, and long potions. But now, since I'm in a European school, I kind of understand. I bet England's probably a little bit different again, but now I understand a little bit more. You have 2 hours of the same thing in a row. And um, so for the first hour, we pretty much did that. And then for the second hour, we talked about projects that we're going to be doing for the Soul Research Project. There's actually, it's kind of weird. It's like sometimes we just sit down and draw, like, well, sometimes we do things where the teacher will sit down and time us for 10 minutes, and, we'll draw him. And, or another day, probably on Tuesday again, that I'm forgetting. So, like, he like, put the chair on, one of the, either Monday or Tuesday, he put a chair on the table and said, draw the spaces. Pretty sure it was Tuesday. Keep remembering all these things that I should have talked about yet in the last video. Oh well. But, he says draw the spaces of this chair. And, teaches us a few techniques for, like, using our pencils to get proportions right and things. But, and then, so and he hands out, like, these papers saying, for this class, we'll be doing this. And they, the welcome letter is basically all the same, but there are a few different things. But from what I understand, there's a drawing class, and that's when he, like, sits down and has us draw. No doubt. And then there's a technology class, and that's where we're going to be appropriating, and I hope I'm using that word right, we're going to be appropriating paintings, famous paintings. And that's the one that we're prepping our boards for, and, like, buying paint for, and stuff like that. And that's more for teaching us techniques of painting. And then there's this other one that is called projects. And so that one, it's like you get to choose your medium, and you get to, but it's projects. And I think that we're only going to have 2 projects this year. This one is, the one that we're working on is, I'm going to say this wrong because I've got a cold, and like I said, I have been getting worse at speaking, even English. But it's en livre, no, or no, I don't know how to say it. But it means a book, a work. And a work in this case would be a work of art. I've pretty much only heard it used as a work of art in my dictionary it says like a work or a masterpiece, so I'm guessing that it's pretty much just used for art, but you could also say it's like a masterpiece of sculpture, I don't know. Masterpiece of a book. But anyway, so basically that one, there are a couple different prompts, but I chose that one because it's like you pick a book and you make a work of art off of it. And that's basically what this project is. And of course, you have to like research a little bit maybe about your book or about, you have to research a little about the subject and about what you're going to be doing. And you can do like anything visual except for a video, is what he said. So I could like make a sculpture, based off of a book. And naturally we're sitting there talking, and the first book that pops into my mind is Good Omens. It's the only book I brought with me to Europe. I'm probably gonna. So I'm hoping he's okay with that. That I base it off of a silly novel. And, I've had a few ideas for it so far, but I'm still not entirely sure what I'm gonna do. I've had several ideas for what I might do, but this project is gonna last for like ever. It's gonna take quite a while. I figure the way I see it, most of our time is gonna be spent in art classes. Actually, gonna be spent in technology, where we're learning the techniques and working on appropriating pieces and stuff. And I figure that's gonna take up most of our time. But I'm not entirely sure, and I'm not entirely sure how to ask yet. So, yeah, I think this project is going to be due in December. It's kind of amazing for me, because I'm used to projects being like super fast, but, but then again, like I said, we're probably not going to spend much time on it in class, so, I don't know.